Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So guys, do you remember Crush? Remember the horrible, awful, no good war tactic we all wanted to just skip or ignore and couldn't wait for it to leave? Well, as it turns out, we might actually miss it now that it's gone, because the new one doesn't seem to be much better, especially since it's bugged, but in general, there was a thing that I noticed already upon reading the description, and that has quite profound consequence. Because the new defensive tactic is effectively unplayable unless you use an offensive tactic champion, which, however, would be fine in like a controlled environment where, Kabam gets to design the nodes and double check that they are doable. But once you release it into the wider world and let players do their worst to each other, as we always do, as is our job in Alliance War, quite literally creates unbeatable matchups, basically. Or, indestructible 3 boost and nuke go type of situation. Right. So instead of me complaining, because you guys often say that I'm too negative, and I'm not going to do any of that here. I'm just going to quote you yourself, guys. So there is a very good forum thread. There is genuinely a lot of good feedback, a lot of good information. I actually read through all 3 pages of this, where we discussed the new forum tactic. I'm not going to read every post, but I'm going to read some of them. So this defensive tactic is literally impossible. You can't dex specials or they gain indestructible. You can't block specials or they gain 15% of battle power. It's better to just let yourself die and start over than trying to remove these indestructible passives. Only passive pros take away. So here we are establishing the bug. It's beyond the ridiculous, and how this is getting freaking ridiculous. I think everyone should realistically just stick with using only 40% revives, which is a solid strategy. Since that's in 11 days, I'd be surprised if it wasn't fixed by then. I'm just glad the bugs with tactic were made apparent during the off-season, not the actual season. But the question is, why are they bugged in the first place? Why is this norm? Like, I get it. It's better if it happens in off-season, but why must it happen every time? Why isn't there somebody who actually takes care of this? Okay. They seem to be very frequently drop new things on Fridays, leaving us with no way to get their inevitable bugs addressed without suffering days of negative effects. First, pretty much, I wish we got more time to test this than 5 more wars where the opponent doesn't place boss on purpose. That is also true. Okay. And there's going to be a bit more. The game doesn't need this rubbish. Does your alliance place boss on tact? 1 second. That post I cannot read. Fantastic work again. I thought I had literacy problems because what I read on the node did not match what was actually happening in the game. Best to delay the start of the season by a couple of weeks. There's enough content to sustain us. Okay, so here we go. To be honest, it feels like the devs who develop global nodes aren't aware of game dynamics lately. Constructively speaking, it seems that when a new global is designed, champs and abilities pre-existing nodes are not taken into account. Some examples. You want to force a player using global attack champs versus global defenders to counter protection with parries. Okay, doable. But when that game dynamic is utterly affected by other dynamics, as the protections stack for each version dex, the gameplay becomes unsustainable on certain nodes like One-Eyed Open. You can't hit while the opponent is stunned. AI is not predictable after the end of the stun, and may also force you to trigger another protection to bait out dex or a heavy or a special, entering into an endless loop of not making any damage. Prowess unblockable nodes. Force hit either dex specials or tank damage. Now you guys develop the game how much a champ with an X health pool can take on these, or worse, seeing the attack pool that doesn't really counter unblockable abilities. How is a player supposed to get out of a situation where the opponent is unblockable for the rest of the fight and has multiple protections, or even just one? Because you can't parry, you're dead, basically, because you can't do any damage. Basically, binding in a multiple protection node dynamic heavy parry as well as the only counter would work in a content without other variables with matching nodes. Before developing a global, picking defenders attackers pool, you guys should be more thoughtful about other interactions. I understand you want to make things harder and increase the game dynamics, but don't forget about the ones you developed earlier. Make sure at least the one that the game stays playable. And that is exactly true. It seems like that as, much thought is put into these tactics, there are just huge and massive oversights in between champion interactions, creating, some absolutely bonkers situations and basically unwinnable fights or borderline unwinnable fights. Highly doubt it was tested on AW maps, but this defensive tactic is the worst ever. I got completely destroyed by rank 3 Kate Bishop. This is bad. I need to learn more about no point. He was not indestructible or unstoppable, unprotected. I can't remove the protection fast enough and indestructible to do any real damage. And then with the parries, I have to go stoppable forever. There you go. There you go. And so it means Magic Thief is not working as intended. Yes, there's also a bug, but in essence, it's still gonna, even once the bug is fixed, it's gonna be incredibly difficult. Interaction between nodes and tactic on node 49 make it impossible. Okay. Well, then block of the tactic is very bad design. We need any other way to remove indestructibles. There's quite a lot of discussion here, but the point is, it ain't looking great in terms of fun. Kabam has outdone themselves with this one. I thought Crush 2.0 was bad, but this Magic Thief is awful. Feels like they wanted to suck any fun out of AW. If there was any left after the last 2 seasons, I'm not a huge war enthusiast, but I do get some enjoyment out of it at times, usually hang around tier 2 or 3. Trying the attack tactic to the most unrealistic mechanic in the game, parry unreliable. Parry is ridiculous. People don't complain as much anymore because they just deal with it, but failed parries, dropped inputs still happen quite a bit. It's either choose between no items and death tolls in hundreds, or trying to win, burn through tons of loyalty and pots that are still way too expensive and still have insanely high death counts. This is going to be a bloodbath every war. Couple ideas to fixes to the Magic Thief are to make it manageable, get rid of the indestructible proc on dex or dodge, increase the timer from every 5 seconds to 8, 10, or 12 seconds. Well, there we go. And we have some war results coming in as well. 122 and 316 deaths. Good. It's insane. I got stuck on Nick Fury with Hazard Shift in War. It became impossible to remove the indestructible. Buffs are rate faster than they would gain them, so he didn't even lose health in the second form. Oh, this makes me rethink doing war at all. And here's another. Some of us stopped complaining because Kabam stopped listening. Personally, I get my comments taken down and get warnings. And this is also a very important point, by the way. Some of us stopped complaining because Kabam stopped listening. Personally, I get my comments taken down and get warnings for saying things Kabam doesn't want to hear. And I'm very, very cordial in my approach. Whenever something is anti-player, as this war tactic comes about, Kabam typically drags their feet into fixing it. I'd rather be wrong, but I suspect that this, at the least, a very ugly and low participating upcoming war season. Kabam has lost touch with the players on what we find fun in this game. And that is absolutely true. That is evident by Kabam churning out defense after defense after defense. And these war tactics and everything else. For what it's worth, I like torturing myself, but not all the time, not daily, not consistently, not in every game mode. I am the type of person that will put myself through, sleepless nights to rush through Necropolis and whatnot. But dealing with all this BS every day is just not fun. It just isn't. And you can say that I suck or get good loser and stuff like that, but I'm just not playing the game as much, and I'm just not enjoying it. And all of these bullshit interactions and defenders have a lot to do with it. Because you want challenging content, you don't want all the time to be kind of like, wrecked by a particular defender in every game mode that you see. Okay. Kabam has lost touch with the players and what we find fun in this game. Our time spent in the game has even been declared as not a valuable resource, so we're likely going to have to suffer through this with little to no changes made. Realistically, I think you have hit the core of the problem. The lack of communication starting to become frustrating. I really hope the inputs that were given with this topic ain't going to be ignored as it happened with the AW defense masteries. It's 2024 and we still have to switch masteries for placement due to the mysterious reasons. I know, that's still so shit. Like, why can't we lock in defensive masteries? It's because Kabam are dicks. Why? It is surprising how they came out with such a global after a lot of Platinum Master Alliances skipped the season because of previous node. And that is evident. New Nation made it to the Masters by not playing seriously half the season. We just, saw the wars that we would be winning relatively easily. We participated in those, and in the rest of the wars, we just kind of cleared the map, and that's about it. Didn't make a war plan or anything, and we still made Masters. And that would absolutely not happen would there be more alliances trying. It's just a fact that there aren't. Maybe opening up to the community and listening would be a smart move on the long run. Nobody's asking for resources or easy words, just playable ones. Absolutely. W is a joke, borderline unplayable. Previous one was bad, but this is ridiculous. It's not enough that they'd done persistent placement on us, full of defaults. No word to address any of the feedback community gave on it. Members locked out of placement. Officers not able to remove defenders from BGs themselves. And the mastery thing, obviously. Stupid globals on top of stupid globals. And being frank, they don't seem to care about any feedback and just want to force a new direction. 2 broken globals in a row, 4 busted defenders in 4 months, not including Photon. Breaking the system with Crush and selling a solution by separating Tier 1 and Tier 2 and branding Tier 1 as elite, which no one wanted or asked for. Seasons had plenty of issues over the years, like piloting, big shakeups like defender diversity, outdated potions, and switching currencies, but it managed to hold together fine for 6 years, and now suddenly it's being turned into a luxury mode crafted for the finest of the players that come from Swiss Alps. If you don't like it, you can quit, is what I'm hearing. And that generally kind of gets, I think, is a very good breakdown. A lot of what these players said is what I personally currently think. And regardless of where Kabam's going with that, it's just not as entertaining. It's just not as fun. And I don't think that we as a player base ask for too much. Just don't completely shut this over. Give us some quality of life improvements. Like before mentioned, they still haven't addressed the, Masteries 2.0 are coming for 50 years. AW defensive masteries, we still need to reset, which is just why, why force that upon us? And then all these bullshit defenders with the bullshit nodes and bullshit challenges coming recently. It's just getting a lot. It's getting a lot even like for me, because I'm not having as much energy to tackle all of that crap. I really am not. And I want to. I want to, be super excited for all the new and upcoming content and stuff like that. Kabam just now announced sagas, and I'm like, that shit looks grindy. Like, a year ago, I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's play it. Like, this looks awesome or something like that. And I'm like, there's some more crap coming. It's probably going to be bullshit again. They really need to have some shake-up in between themselves. Like, stop releasing defenders with, like, undexable, unblockable special attacks. You take bullshit damage on every blocked hit and whatnot. And all of these globals, they really, really need to put their thinking hats on and think where they are going wrong before it's too late. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think, because this video, after all, was based on your own comments in the thread about the new war tactic. And meanwhile, I'm going to head out and do something awesome, because the weather is absolutely fantastic outside. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information